So I was enjoying a nice, fresh summer's day when I happened to open my phone and just this stench wafted from it. I opened YouTube to find the source, scrolled my For You page frantically until I found this pile of sewage swill.
Behavior, your game is bad because you have pride.
Who the fuck are you?
I'd like to begin with that I'm not at all a competitive Dead by Daylight player, nor do I have high MMR. And given what I've heard from content creators with infinitely more experience, I'm willing to agree with our little comedian on that alone, that Dead by Daylight is unbalanced and favors survivors. This video isn't to dispute that. It's mainly to just make fun of him for having the gall to inject his right-wing turbo-redditor propaganda into an otherwise completely unrelated video.
They appear to be disproportionately insufferable leftists and sexual deviants, with a huge amount of them equipping LGBTQ pride charms and banners, to the point where it's rare to go into a single lobby that doesn't have at least one degenerate using them.
What? What are you talking about?
Now I will warn you, we're stepping into an absolute cesspit here. A radioactive wasteland of brain-dead mouth breathers who worship a convicted felon and rapist. You may want to put on your hazmat suit.
There's plenty of anger right now. How can you have more?
You don't think it'll exacerbate
David,
the problem?
David, I mean, I know you're a sophisticated guy. The world is a mess. The world is as angry as it gets. Well, you think this is going to cause a little more anger? The world is an angry place. All of this has happened. We went into Iraq. We shouldn't have gone into Iraq. We shouldn't have gotten out the way we got out. The world is a total mess. The world is a mess, David.
I can't go any further. Ah! Wait a second. Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
I'm white.
About 3 months ago.
Dude, I have a cold too, but blow your damn nose. Unless you're somehow actually that nasally, to which I feel bad for anyone who has to listen to you. Unironic Trump clip out of the way, we're already off to a bad start. He calls survivors high ego for abandoning when they lost, then displays his own ego by losing his mind over endgame chat toxicity, thrusting survivor corpses. Mind you, he has 2 downs and 1 hook in this clip. Yes, I'm ignoring the corny Aryan edit. I genuinely don't know what to say to it.
I uploaded a series of hot takes about Dead by Daylight, in which I mocked the current state of the game with its incompetent developers and blatantly survivor-sided meta. Within days of uploading those videos, like moths to a flame, my comment section was suddenly swarmed by fake wholesome, pseudo-intellectual Reddit types.
Really? You're calling people Reddit types?
Who were all attempting to lecture me on how my opinions were somehow biased, unacceptable, or untruthful because their minds are unable to tolerate critical statements about the reality of the game that they willingly waste hundreds of hours of their lives on. It's through this experience, and by witnessing the recent community reception to the absolute slop that is the Jason chapter, that I've come to a damning realization. 99% of Dead by Daylight players are actually retarded. To begin, if you've played Killer at all in 2026, you would already know that the game is in one of the most disgusting survivor-sided states it has ever been in.
I hate being alive! I hate being alive! I hate breathing! I hate being alive! I'm in tremendous pain! I'm in tremendous pain! Help me! Help me! Help me!
Never before have I seen a game that caters to one specific side so hard, has its own literal propaganda network, consistently reaffirms that a huge amount of its player base are mid-witted, performative, high-ego scum. Yet for some reason, the masses are influenced by YouTubers, by propaganda, by Zog Psyops.
So, I notice he names Otstava when he's talking about propaganda outlets. And mind you, anytime he says propaganda, he means people en masse disagree with him. Ots is quite close with behavior from what I've seen, being on the Walking Dead stream and part of the creator program. Yet even still, he has videos talking about the state of DBD, talking about the garbage 10th anniversary event and how it's completely survivor-sided. Not quite sure where our little comedian got that from. Oh, wait, hold on. Think I found out why he doesn't like Otstava. As for the other person that he brought up, Hex Sadness, they're a really small YouTuber / Twitch streamer that isn't part of Behavior's creator program. And that video on DBD being killer-sided is partially just rage-baiting people like Prometheus and trying to boost it in the algorithm. Well, those were two flawless examples of propaganda in DBD's community, Prometheus. You get a gold star for effort.
Otherwise, that this game is not biased and that I am just a whiny killer main complaining or whatever anytime I say these astute observations.
Prometheus goes on to ramble about 3 different commenters who left pretty sound advice with him. But of course, he's going to act as if it's completely unreasonable. One of the comments says that he's sad for hopping on a game just to cry about it constantly, which he is. Another says he's equally as entitled as Survivor mains for whining like this, which he is. Final one says he's weird for crying about someone being P100 on a Survivor, which he is. Gotta love that transphobic Wojak in the background too. Really letting us know what kind of person you are.
They have proven time and time again that they favor Survivor players, and for obviously greedy financial reasons. It's very apparent that a disproportionate amount of the player base is people who only play Survivor.
So, first one. How many killer mains do we have here? Okay. Survivor mains? It's about a 4-to-1 ratio.
Casual players arrive and quickly see that Killer takes way too much skill in understanding the game mechanics, so they all flock to play Survivor instead, the much easier power role. Because Survivor in 2026 is so easy with all the crutch perks like Windows, Sprint Burst, and Dead Hard, it attracts the worst subsets of people in arguably all of modern gaming.
I mean, crutch perks exist for killers too. That's not really a great justification for Survivors being easier. I don't disagree with Survivor being the easier role, but bringing out crutch perks when killers have Lightborn, Zancian Tactics, Noed, Tinkerer, Discordance, and Deadlock seems a bit odd. Crutch perks don't guarantee a win. They're there for less skilled players. Sprint Burst is useless in later stages of the game, despite being regarded as the most or second most broken exhaustion perk, and it's receiving enough. Dead Hard can be faked by just waiting and paying attention to the survivor, and Windows is simply for survivors who have less experience, or sweaty chaser survivors who you shouldn't be focusing on anyway.
The talentless idiots, gooners, e-girls, and attention seekers who lack the technical skill to play something like an FPS shooter.
You have to be genuinely insane to think an FPS shooter requires technical skill.
But still want to get artificial ego boosts and validation by winning matches and mindlessly buying skins in an online game.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
More often than not, they're pure consumerist, porn-brained slaves, typically choosing to only play conventionally attractive and unnaturally skinny female survivors, purchasing every single skin that comes out for them and lying to themselves that it's some kind of accomplishment.
What a weird thing to call people porn-brained over. and an insanely performative thing to say. Let's dissect this a bit. Women in video games being restricted to slim or curvy builds has always been a problem, before and after Dead by Daylight, and it always will be a problem. Prometheus, however, isn't mentioning this because he cares about body positivity. He is bringing this up to call people gooners and try to fit his narrative of people he doesn't agree with. Men in Dead by Daylight also have the exact same build as each other in most cases, yet he can go on a whole tirade about how in the ancient times, underweight women weren't a priority because they would be susceptible to birth complications, but not make one mention of the other side of the spectrum. It just reeks of a performative, desperate attempt to hook the one or two women that accidentally clicked on his video and immediately clicked off, as well as, again, trying to make an odd narrative about people who disagree with him.
This point that I'll also observe, fitting the performative, virtue-signaling, high-ego nature of most of the player base, they appear to be disproportionately insufferable leftists and sexual deviants, with a huge amount of them equipping LGBTQ pride charms and banners, to the point where it's rare to go into a single lobby that doesn't have at least one degenerate using them.
He said it! He said it!
Ooh, yikes. Someone's parents didn't teach them empathy. To answer your question, Prometheus, no, sexuality doesn't have anything to do with killing. However, sexuality does have to do with your identity. The flags are there if you want to show your pride in that identity. It's not like they grabbed you by the neck and shoved it down your throat. It's an optional cosmetic, and the fact that you're bothered by it says a lot about you.
Continuing with this, if you look at their Steam profile, at least 1 in 10 players are going to have some weird anime femboy or otherwise porn-themed account.
In this county, you are going to jail.
At least he can acknowledge that this person is a kid fiddler. That's another thing I'll agree with Prometheus on. Digital or not, they're still children. Though his 1 in 10 DBD players are gooners metric is probably bullshit.
With I myself personally having encountered so many disgusting pervert survivors that I enabled the setting to hide usernames entirely.
No way you're actually mad of these dumb display names, right? Good on you for learning to let people be and just ignore them though, even if it was on accident.
As with everything else that degen survivor mains do, the devs encourage this, seeing as last year they did a special Pride Month stream where they brought on and promoted individuals that look like this.
I love me some Drag Trashly. I love me some Killer, but I was rooting for Critical Bar there. I mean, a hatch escape is a win for everybody.
And we're right back to it. I genuinely don't know how you can go so long existing as such a spiteful, disgusting person. Well, all you can do is leech and hate on people who are happier than you. It's literally just someone in drag, dude.
Because this is the only game these talentless, skillless husks of humans have any hope of being proficient at, or are unfortunately included in or promoted in to such an extent, they dedicate their lives to it, inevitably racking up thousands of hours of gameplay to the point that it's arguably more surprising to find a high MMR survivor main who doesn't have at least 2,000 hours and hundreds of dollars spent on the game.
I think it's pretty normal to spend money and time on a game you enjoy. I mean, you bought Jason, Springtrap, Nemesis, the Demogorgon, and Bubba going off of your background gameplay and perks, though you don't actually seem to like the game. In fact, you clown on people who are spending time and money on it, so do you just have some insane sort of Stockholm syndrome for a game and community where you don't even matter?
Behavior notices this, and predictably chooses to pander to these pay pigs, knowing that as long as they keep the game nice and easy, these imbeciles will continue pouring every penny into Sable, Kate, and Fengmin. They don't dare support or buff killers, because that would alienate these attention-seeking survivor mains who need the whole game to revolve around them. Therefore, as behavior is more corporate than ever, everything is catered to these people now. and their egos inflate exponentially because of it. Hop into any decently high MMR match as killer, and I guarantee you will meet massive ego survivors deluded into thinking their shiny skins or prestige 100 badges are worth anything, playing in the most obnoxious, special ed, baby's first way possible, all running the exact same crutch builds and intentionally doing everything they can to be the most annoying losers possible. And then, when they predictably win because the whole game is rigged in their favor, they will get a massive ego trip, and then many will revert to a saccharine, fake wholesome demeanor designed to maximize attention seeking, typing GG in chat but only because the killer allowed themselves to be abused. In the rare case that the killer stands on business and wins, you can expect a total meltdown from these salty man-children. They expect everything and everyone in the game to serve them and their ego, and to be fair, it very much does. Just in the past year, the devs tried to enact the absurd anti-tunneling and slugging update intended to prevent the two most common killer strategies that survivors complain about, not once, but twice, ultimately canceling it both times due to near unanimous backlash from killer players. The fact they tried to enact such blatantly anti-killer changes at all, let alone multiple times, speaks for itself. They still got away with enacting the pallet density update, which added comical amounts of filler pallets everywhere and made playing any killer below S tier feel like sticking your genitalia into a meat grinder.
Fucking whores! You fucking whores! Hit it, retard! Hold it!
Wait, hold on. You're playing New Myers, the killer with a loop around dash, not even bothering to stalk and just mindlessly walking into pallet stunts like a drone, not baiting a single drop while blaming the pallet density update for it. I think part of this is just you being awful at the game.
They never fully reverted this change, by the way, as when they finally took feedback from killers and reduced the density after multiple months, the survivor mains instantly started crying, and it was increased again within a week. When the devs are making decisions this cartoonishly biased, you cannot tell me with a straight face that the game is balanced or not survivor-sided. But you know the worst part of all this? They have intentionally designed the game's culture in such a way so that a huge amount of the player base are influenced to actually believe and uphold the propaganda notion that the game is somehow fair or well-designed. Whenever I've called the game survivor-sided, I've received both lengthy essays from pseudo-intellectuals trying to explain to me how I need to reevaluate my mindset and understand what survivor players go through before blindly hating on them, as well as
So this person tells our little comedian that he needs to stop whining about survivors and get out the us versus them mentality. That P100 doesn't automatically mean someone is a tryhard, and that he has a weird obsession with the conventionally attractive characters in the game. All very valid points, and yet he's dubbed a seething man-child for delivering a calm-toned, valid free piece of advice. Oh, the ignorance is seeping through the screen. I love how you talk about how behavior is intentionally culturing an audience, and yet you intentionally culture your audience of ignorance by blatantly lying to them and strawmanning other people's valid arguments, just so you come out looking a little better.
from obvious iPad kids or men with failing marriages calling me a dumb killer main, or reducing my criticisms to a skill issue. It's extremely ironic that they assume these things, seeing as I have never actually claimed to be a killer main, play at least 40 to 60 Survivor and Killer, have literally paid for numerous Survivor cosmetics,
but still want to get artificial ego boosts and validation by winning matches and mindlessly buying skins in an online game.
and briefly shown them in previous videos. Still, these people are so brainwashed that their minds are incapable of comprehending the notion that not everything is black and white, and I can absolutely hate the culture of whiny Survivor mains while still playing Survivor myself. One of the best videos on my channel to date is the one where I talk about how I hate Springtrap mains and the closely correlated phenomenon of quote-unquote wholesome killers who intentionally humiliate themselves for survivors' entertainment by playing a funny, wholesome, Reddit-approved killer instead of someone skillful.
Yeah, it really is a shame that you regard such an awful video as one of the best on your channel. In the video, all you do is whine about how Springtrap is overpowered and makes Huntress irrelevant, when A, he wasn't overpowered, and B, he didn't make Huntress irrelevant. The reason you believed he was overpowered is because he was efficient on survivors at the time of his release, when survivors didn't understand how his power worked and how to loop him. Now that Springtrap is well understood, the C and B tier is very justified.
That particular video hilariously got a terrible reception with a ton of dislikes because it simultaneously pissed off both survivor players and the disproportionate amount of wholesome Reddit killer mains who pander to them. Even more hilariously, my YouTube analytics reveal that only a small percentage of viewers actually watched past the 2-minute mark of that video, meaning that they clicked onto it, and as soon as they heard an opinion that contradicts the narrative established in their mind, they immediately began frothing at the mouth, clicking off but not before going out of their way to leave a self-righteous comment about how they're better people than me, despite having just experienced a realistic panic attack over a video game opinion.
Wow, that was a really sweet fanfiction, Prometheus. It was so inspiring, I actually went to watch your Blight video, the first 2 minutes, to see why someone would start watching the video 2 minutes in. I compiled a list. Here, take a look.
Anyways, I've noticed those aforementioned wholesome killer mains have permeated the killer spaces, the point that it seems to have taken over the culture, and a disconcerting number of new players are led to believe that killers are obligated to act wholesome and intentionally play badly so that all survivors have fun, publicly declaring how much they hate tunneling, slugging, and the evil killers who actually try to win. This culture of propaganda continues even further though, as the hater notably introduced the Dead by Daylight creator program, where they select prominent YouTubers and streamers to represent the game and receive official partnerships and creator codes inside the in-game store. Conveniently, all of these approved quote-unquote creators do nothing but spout the most lukewarm takes, moaning bizarre, disingenuous, balanced discourse in the community, always saying things like, the game should strive to hit even balance between killer and survivor, or tunneling and slugging will become an issue and need to be addressed under the pretense of wanting the game to be hacking, fun, and wholesome for everybody. To translate those newspeak phrases theirs means that these YouTubers are almost entirely biased towards survivors, regardless of whether they claim to be wholesome killer mains or whatever. Almost all DBD YouTubers like this, with identical YouTubers like Scott Judd, Hens333, and Starbuck, who just makes long content repeating these disingenuous lukewarm opinions every day, pandering to the hardcore survivor mains and instilling the messaging in casual players' minds so that almost no one ever dares think something unique. For example, the most prominent Blight streamer, Lilith Omen, who despite supposedly being a Blight main, directly advocated for behavior to nerf him, and also on numerous occasions intentionally dispelled propaganda supporting the false narrative that Blight is overpowered because he's a killer survivors love to complain about. In general, these YouTubers are all mental slaves, drones, may as well be subhumans, and no one can tell me otherwise. The recently released Jason killer is absolute underpowered sloth that may as well be AI generated, but all these cucks pretended to be excited, making soy faces and screaming like insisting that a 4.4 killer with a terrible uninspired projectile and teleport is extremely creative and warrants being put in A tier. Look at this buffoon, Spooky Loops, who claims to have spent 10 hours sitting on the game playing Jason. What a pathetic waste of life right here. Why do we allow these people to have any influence in society, online or otherwise? I absolutely hate what this game has become and have very little urge to talk about it or play it any longer. Perhaps if more players were vocal like this and saw the truth and boycotted the game, the devs would listen, but it's highly unlikely. The true reality behind this game has never been painted more clearly on the wall, and in order to not notice it and continue playing it, believing everything to be perfectly fine, you must be blind, in denial, or, as the title says, mentally
Fuck you! Bad Prometheus, Prometheus, whatever, fuck you, get the fuck out of my stream.
That's it? That's the Dead by Daylight video? That was just a bunch of conservative propaganda!
I'll agree with Prometheus on one more thing. Some people don't deserve to have their voices heard. Some people don't deserve to make videos. Some people don't deserve to be put on the algorithm. Prometheus is one of these people. All this video has been is hating on people who actually enjoy Dead by Daylight and trying to inject his conservative mindset into the whole video. And of course, people with his mindset eat it up because they can't think for themselves and just assume anyone who is different to them is responsible for their own problems. Maybe you should consider therapy instead of being yet another conservative tumor on the Dead by Daylight community.